Ops Pro. How do I say I'm starving in Dutch?
Uber Unger.
That is death by chocolate.
We have hit the jackpot.
Hello world, I've been waiting for a chance to see your face. Oh, hello world, I am ready for a different kind of place. And I'm flying to somewhere else, 'cause I'm searching for something else. And I'm leaving, I don't know where I'm gonna land. Oh no, yes, I'm leaving, I don't know where I'm gonna land.
Hi, welcome to Travelers in Belgium. I'm Patrick Michael.
I'm Robin Kipp. I'm Michelle Kruzik.
We're in the town of Popering, about an hour and a half west of Brussels, near the French border. Now, when you think of Belgium, you probably think of chocolates, diamonds, great food, and beautiful countryside.
But ask anyone around here what Belgium means to them, and they'll be quick to tell you it is the beer capital of the world. And it's this town that makes it all possible.
The farmers of Popering produce 3/4 of all the hops in Belgium. And the end of the harvest season in late summer is a time to celebrate. Once every 3 years, the people of this town come together to pay tribute to the crop that makes Belgian beer the top of the heap. Or is it the hops?
We're off to the Hops Festival.
Come on.
While Robin took the high road to Belgium, Patrick and Michelle decided to take the underwater route, arriving in Brussels from London in a newly built underground train known as the Channel.
You come over, actually, on a train. You're thinking, how are you going to get from England to Belgium on a train? Well, it actually goes underneath the English Channel. Hence, channel. Channel, tunnel, see? You get on what looks like a regular train, but it's sort of shaped like this bullet, and you're suddenly doing 190 miles an hour. I mean, it's like being on a plane on the ground. And you can't really even see much of anything because it's zipping by too fast. I really didn't know what to expect going into the tunnel. They've been working on it for years and years and years, and I guess the idea of just going underneath the English Channel is kind of frightening. Oh, we're getting close, Come on.
Okay.
Channel tunnel.
Toast to the Belgium Hops Festival.
You know, I remember hearing this story one time about a guy who used to wander the tunnel, and no one would ever see what he looks like. And whenever they'd come out of the tunnel, he would appear.
It's really weird. Yeah! Sure. Patrick, James. We left Waterloo, went under the English Channel, hit France, and then like an hour later we're in Brussels, Belgium. And it's pretty incredible because in 3.5 hours we went through 3 countries and arrived at our destination.
Located in Belgium's province of West Flanders, the town of Popering can trace its hops growing history to the 14th century, when competition from a neighboring town forced Popering out of the weaving industry. On the advice of some local monks who had been using hops for centuries to flavor beer, the people of Popering began to cultivate the area's hop plants on a large scale. Today, 3/4 of Belgium's hops are produced in Popering, where fields of this green gold dominate the landscape.
The Hop Festival is held every 3rd year at the 3rd weekend of September because that is traditional, the end of the hop harvest.
The party includes the election of a new hop queen, a 1,200-character parade that crawls its way down the town's cobblestone streets, and plenty of sampling of the year's best brews.
We're at a Hops Festival, and I'm really not sure what a hop is.
A hop? I don't know what a hop is, but I'll find out. Do you have any idea what a hop is?
A hop?
You ever heard of a hop?
Bunny hop.
Where are you from first?
Israel.
Israel.
Yeah.
Do they have hops in Israel?
What is up?
Do you know what it looks like?
No.
Have you ever seen it?
No.
Any idea what color it is?
Tan.
I think it's probably greenish brown, something like that.
Gray.
Hops?
C'est quoi ça, hops?
Who are you?
Do you know what hops are?
Don't know.
Hops?
Hops? I don't know.
Is it an instrument?
No.
No, hops. C'est une bière. Une boisson.
Beer.
Oui, oui, oui.
You drink beer, right?
I drink, yes.
Yeah. Have you heard of hops in beer?
No.
I just want to ask you a quick question. Do you know what hops are?
Hop is an ingredient in beer. It makes beer possible. Is that right?
This is typical Belgian countryside.
And this is typical French countryside.
We're just outside of Popering on the Common Road. It's the shared border between France and Belgium.
And we're off to find out what the locals do when they're not growing hops.
Wait a minute. If you're in Belgium and you're in France, where am I?
Just south of confusion.
Hey, you can do that. Hi.
Hey, you got the hang of that.
On the Belgian side, there is a pub that is a place for people to come and drink, for families to sit and talk, and there are also games there. And they're very traditional games. Nothing, you know, mechanized, no pinball machines. This pub is pretty unusual because the atmosphere is not so much bar, but really a family pub.
My turn, my turn. Being the wood-throwing champion in my old neighborhood.
You stink. You stink even more. You stink really badly.
It's not that kids are invited to hang out at bars at all. No, it's just that the parents like to get together and enjoy beer. And this is a great way for kids to get together as well. Got 10 points.
There's
Okay, you ready?
incredible sense of community. Everybody seems to know everybody. Everybody seems to have had a beer once or twice with everybody else in the pub. I met this kid named Matthias.
Band, right? What are you playing? There you go. How about
He
you?
started telling me all about the Hops Festival and the Hops Queen.
Right now.
And he's got this friend, Helene.
Who do you think's gonna win? 2,000 francs. Helen? You know I can't even say the name. Helen Throw.
And he's so confident that she's going to be the new Hops Queen. I mean, I had to bet against him.
All right, here it is, okay? Tomorrow, if Helen is not the Hops Queen, you and me are throwing down over 2,000 francs, all right? Deal? Deal? All right, I'm looking for you and your clarinet tomorrow. Yeah.
So I'm counting on about 2,000 francs later.
See you tomorrow. Thanks.
One of the highlights of the Hops Festival is the election of a Hop Queen, who's chosen once every 3 years. Contestants are quizzed in French, German, English, and Flemish, the 4 languages of Belgium, on everything from popering to politics. Votes are cast not only by a panel of judges, but by each member of the audience, making this pageant one of the liveliest and rowdiest events of the festival.
They build this huge tent right in the middle of town. And inside that one night, there is the biggest party you could possibly imagine. You walk in there, the last thing on your mind is a pageant. The whole town is shoved into this tent.
What does the Hop Queen do? What is the role?
Well, the Hop Queen has to be on official locations, you know, some meetings to do when there's a new shop open in Popering, and then the new Hop Queen has to be there.
Now, what kind of questions do they ask? Are they all related to hops?
No, some of them are, but not all of them, because the ladies who are doing the test are from the Hop Centrum here of Popering, and they don't know anything about hops, but neither do I.
I can hear the crowd. Everybody's going crazy. What's so important about tonight? Why have this Hop Queen pageant?
Well, it's really an honor to be the Hop Queen of Popering, because it's every 3 years, and then you have it for the rest of your life.
So it's a close call right now. Everybody is neck and neck as far as points.
Yes. They are nearby each other. They are all very good.
What is it you have to do to be Miss Hops or the Queen?
We have to study a little bit. We have also to make a speech at the beginning of the evening.
And do you think have any special advantages over the other girls? Anything that might help you know a little more than the other girls?
I think so, because my father's a hop farmer, and that's something special.
And so you've grown up on a farm?
Yes, all my life.
So we decided that we were going to be new Hilda supporters.
You'd have these like scream-off contests. You're like, Hilda, Hilda. And after a while, it got kind of like serious. You know, I thought this was all in good fun, you know, but this is serious because this girl gets elected and she is Hops Queen for 3 years. This is like a president's term almost, you know?
The election took forever, and I think that it took a long time, but a lot of that was the fact that you could look over and the judges were drinking beer, and you could see them tallying up scoring sheets, and there you've got a big tankard of beer next to them.
And it was about 2:30 in the morning. And finally they come out and go, okay, settle down. We have our new Hops Queen. It was almost as if this was a secondary thing now. That, oh yeah, by the way, I know you guys are having a great time, and here's another beer. Oh, and Helene is the new Hops Queen. So we'll see y'all in the morning.
What do I do now?
Give me a Hops Pro.
Backwards? I don't know how to do that. Whoa, whoa.
The morning after the Hops Queen election, Patrick had a chance to meet Helene Stroy, the newly elected queen, to give her a hop quiz of his own.
So you're now, for the next 3 years, the Hops Queen. So how does it feel?
Very good, actually.
I thought it'd be fun to stump her on hops. I went out to the local Hops Pro, and I got a really tough question, and I got some hops. You know what I have here? This is hops. 2 different kinds of hops.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And I sit down with her, and I go, okay, Mrs. Hops, so can you tell me what kind of hops this is? Ooh. Okay, here's the hops with the red vine. What's that?
With the red what?
A little red vine. See the red on there?
Yeah.
Starts with an M. You know what? I think I could be Hops Queen now.
Yeah.
I know about hops.
Hop King.
Okay, I could be Hops King. Magnum.
Magnum?
That's what they told me, that this was Magnum.
Never heard about that before.
You've never heard of that?
No, no, no.
Get somebody out here to get me a Hops Pro. Yeah. I can tell you the difference in some hops. I think I should be Hop King, as a matter of fact. No ideas, huh?
No.
Okay. Hops King. That could be me.
3/4 of all the hops in Belgium are grown on the 80 farms in and around Popering. Robin had a chance to visit one such farm where she got a taste of the ups and downs of life on a hop farm.
Make it up there.
Aileen. I went to the Rosil family farm, and they grow everything from cauliflower to sugar beets to hops. Is this a typical hops farm? Is this what you find
This is
around?
typical. There are still 80 farmers who have hops around Poperingen. 15 years ago, there were nearly 120, 130. But it's, let's say the prices were not so good in recent years, so it has been slowing down gradually.
Is this hops or is vine hops?
The whole vine, the plant is called hops. This is the cone, and inside you have the lupulin. If you open this flower, the cone, then you see the yellow material. The yellow material contains lupulin, and lupulin contains some acids, and these acids are necessary to brew beer. So someone brings the stems from the hop fields into the barn. Then they fix them, they attach them to the machine with a kind of hook, kind of pincer, picks it up, and it pulls the whole stem, which is 6 meters long, into the machine. Inside the machine, there are hooks turning around very quickly, and they try to get off all the leaves and all the cones. So at the end, you will only see a nude stem.
I went out to the field with Rick Rossile and Burton. Burton was nice enough to help translate what Rick was saying.
This root is planted here, and this will become a root stock, and every year you have new shoots. So there's a small wire here, starting from the ground, and he takes 3 shoots and winds them around the wire. And then, so this is a work done in March, April, and in September you have to harvest.
Rick is really great. He's lived on this farm for 19 years, from what I understand, and his father was on a farm as well and raised, you know, like grew all sorts of hops and cauliflower and all these things, and so did his father and his father, and so he's going to pass it on to his son.
Denk je dat je zoon hebt die het zo wel worden?
Misschien wel de dochter, denk ik.
Yeah. Maybe not the son, but certainly the daughter is interested in going on with the hop industry.
Nowadays, they use machines to pick these vines, but he was telling me that a long time ago they had rope climbers, and he, right with that, hopped on this iron like rope and started climbing right to the top. Then he swung over to this other vine and he wrapped his legs around it and he pushed all of the hops off. These cones, these hops cones just came falling off onto the ground, and he pushed it all the way down until he reached the bottom. And that's how they used to do it. You know, not to be outdone, but to really get into the swing of things, I asked if I could just jump right up there. Can I try? I just want to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get it. Oh, there's just no way. And I grabbed on the vine and like this iron rope, and I climbed up to the top. Once at the top, I'm thinking, okay, I made it. Now what do? You know, the vine's already down, so I'm kind of up here just hanging. I reach over to the other vine, and I kind of slide down. But it was really neat getting into the hang of things.
There's no vine to ride. What do I do now? Translate what he said, quick!
Me, Jane.
Be Jane. Is that what he said?
Slowly, be careful. Yeah, come down. Slowly, slowly, yeah. Just slide down, yeah.
I'm trying to get hot.
Get your feet loose. Yes, this, yeah, get up.
Yay!
I saw Eileen, and she was on this tractor, and behind the tractor was this, like, scaffolding. And there's this guy up on the top with this type of, like, machete-looking thing, and he was grabbing the vines, cutting them, and throwing them on the back where there was just a pile of them. And Eileen's like, come on, you want to learn how to drive this tractor? And I'm like, well, you know, it's not a bad idea. I'll just try it, you know? We started to move, and it was just really at a snail's pace, which was really okay with me. Oh, this is fast enough for me. I didn't want to go too fast. There's a guy behind me on about a 7-meter scaffold. So he's cutting down these vines, and he's throwing them in the back, and I'm just trying to stay straight. I mean, that's basically my whole mission. To stay straight, stop when he tells me to stop, and go when he tells me to go.
Backwards? I don't know how to do that. Oh.
What does that mean? Go! Okay. Stop me! Stop it! Hey, stop!
Oh, sorry.
How do you say sorry in,
Sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you. And what we saw was like a lot of fun and people really enjoying what they were doing, like all the family members pitching in.
Ah, we did it.
But what you don't see is that it's really tough. It is a tough life. It's a struggle, and they make the best of it. And this is their time, this Hops Festival, to celebrate.
Okay.
Ruta.
They're still alive.
They're still alive. They're really fresh.
Anywhere in this town.
Hi.
Met this guy named Franz, a master beer maker. Franz has been making beer all his life. He's been working at that same brewery like 25 years.
The brewer, the whole
Yes.
place?
The man is responsible for the quality of the beer.
Yes.
And the dark beers, which are of the Trappist variety.
Now, help me out with the history here. What's the relationship with the Trappist monk?
The monks were the traditional brewers of the beer in this area.
The monks are the ones that figured out how to brew beer.
Yes, indeed.
Were they thinking of originally using hops for beer?
Probably by the trial, they found out that hops were the magic ingredient for the beer.
I don't know, I had this idea that touring a brewery would involve thousands of people in this huge corporate machine. But here, beer making is kind of an art. It's a lot more like wine making. And I entered a brewery that was run virtually by 3 people. You can really smell the beer in here now.
In Belgium, up to the Second World War, almost every street had its own brewery. And there might be anything up to 20 breweries in one small town.
In the early days, you didn't have to have a license to brew beer. Anyone could brew beer. So you have all these families coming up with their own recipes.
You have 800 different beers.
We have the 800 different beers in Belgium.
You don't find that kind of overwhelming? 800 different beers?
If you're born here, it doesn't surprise you. It's something that is part of our culture.
Have you sampled all 800?
Well, I used to have a little booklet with all the names, and I ticked every one I tried and put some sort of assessment to it. But I can tell you, in all honesty, that you lose count after a few hundreds.
So, Bert, what's for lunch?
You're in for a surprise there.
Bert took us out to lunch, and he took us to this restaurant called the Hummelhof, which means the hop garden. And it's an appropriate name because they make every dish using beer. Bert, since he frequents this place often, happened to know the chef as well, so he introduced us to Stefan, and Stefan invited us backstage into his kitchen to get an idea of how he cooks using beer. We walked into the kitchen, and on the kitchen counter were 3 lobsters.
They're still alive.
They're still alive.
Fresh.
They're really fresh. Just be careful. We have to kill them.
They're very fresh. But here I am witnessing the death of my meal, so I felt really guilty all of a sudden.
Now, Stefan, a lot of your recipes involve beer.
Yes.
How did you learn to cook with beer?
I love beer. I am interested in beer. And so I want to look to cook with beer. So it's all invented.
These are all recipes that you've developed over the years. And I want to try beer with lobster. I want to try beer with fish.
Fish, with meat, with even in desserts, everything is prepared with beer.
So I can only imagine, here's this guy sitting around in his house with some leftovers and some beer, and thought, how can I put these together? I'm a chef, you know. So you just started practicing, and these recipes came out.
Yes, that's it.
Are you the only chef around that does this?
I'm not the only one, but I was the first one.
We even heard about people who came all the way from Japan just to sample the dishes he's created from beer.
So you're famous.
Yes, well, at least well known. Well known, yes.
Everything you get's going to have beer. The beer sauce, it's cooked in beer, it's marinated in beer, it's served with beer. You're going to have beer and something. How do I say I'm starving in Dutch?
Ik heb reuze honger.
Reuze honger?
Yes, ik heb reuze
Okay, reuze.
Reuze Hunger. Uber Hunger. Ruder.
Reuze honger.
Reuze Hunger.
Ik heb reuze honger.
And now, I am the slowest, dullest thing, because we had lobster with beer, we had ham with beer, we had beer with beer, we had bread with beer, and now I just want to take a big beer nap.
Oh, excellent. Oh, excellent. Can I get another one?
The first thing you see is this machine that just drips chocolate all day long. That is death by chocolate.
We have hit the jackpot.
Taking a break from the festival, Patrick, Robin, and Michelle made the 1.5-hour drive to Brussels, where they sought out one of the city's sweetest attractions at the Widmer Chocolate House.
You're surrounded by chocolate. I mean, you could almost get cavities just walking in the door. And as soon as you get in, just to see chocolate, 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 every different shape and size, texture and color. Then we met Miriam Widmer. She's a third-generation Widmer. And her grandfather, back in 1910, started this idea, really, of pastries, and it grew into desserts, and then chocolates, and now it's an industry, a household name of chocolates. And she took us around so that we could actually see the chocolates from start to finish. You step into this kitchen, and the first thing you see is this machine that just drips chocolate all day long. It comes in as these big raw blocks of chocolate, and they melt it down and send it through this funnel that just pours a stream of chocolate. That is death by chocolate.
In fact, we produce about 65 sorts of different chocolates.
Is everything done by hand?
A lot. In our process, in Widmer process, yes. As I said, we have about 65 different pralines. Just for the fresh cream, about 12. Vanilla, raspberry, Grand Marnier, chocolate praline.
The Widmer chocolates are filled with this fresh cream, so they have a shelf life of only a week. If they're not eaten in a week, they're no good because these things have got to be eaten or they'll go bad.
Can I try filling some of the chocolate?
She wants to try it. Okay, please.
Okay. These taste bad, Robin.
A great moment.
Now, she has to get the right proportion, right?
Yes.
Isn't that part
Yes.
of the artistry?
Yes, and also without air in it. Oh, she's doing fine.
You're getting better.
Uh-huh. You can stay here, I think.
I will. I'll just eat them all.
And of course, hers are like 3 times the size of any other chocolate they're making. You can just see the guy going, okay, sure. Yeah, you can eat those.
Hey, Ralph, those are getting a little big there. You're like, hey, I only have so much of that cream.
This is the indulgent chocolate. You've never filled these?
No. Because I have no time.
Why don't you try one?
Okay.
I use a lot of it.
No, I am not very patient, you know.
It's tough. It's tougher than
awful.
it's tougher than it
I
looks.
prefer to eat them.
But they're delicious still, right?
And like so many things here in Belgium, the family is the center of business. It's not an industry. It's what the family does, and it's passed down generation to generation.
I went into the business in 1975, and now my daughter started to get into the business since 2 years.
Your grandfather started something that has been around almost 100 years,
Yeah.
has survived 4 generations, and even opening up shops in what is now a very fashionable part of town. He was way ahead of his time.
Yes, indeed.
Would you call him a visionary?
I would. I was I have always been very sad not to have the opportunity to know him because he died before I was born. But I think he was a very great man.
The Widmer tradition is very strong, has survived already 4 generations. Do you expect that that tradition will continue with the next generation?
Yes, I expect that it will continue with my daughter Leslie.
We still had a few hours left in Brussels, and we'd covered the sweetest part. And now Robin wants to know, what else should we see? So Miriam has to tell her that diamonds are a girl's best friend. And this is where you're going to find them.
Yes, sir. We have hit the jackpot.
I broke it. Won't fit on your finger.
That's all I get.
You get not even.
Well, you see, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Michelle, Patrick, and I walked all over Brussels, down these really neat streets with the cobblestones, and then they're really narrow with lots of little neat window shops. Good, you know, just window shop. They had lots of little neat things in the windows, and we spent a lot of time doing that. And we even saw the mannequin piece, I think that's what they call it, and I'm giving that little accent because it doesn't sound right otherwise.
So I spent the day lost following Michelle and Robin as we shopped and shopped, shopped, and did some more shopping. We looked in every window of this entire city. Anybody remember the name of this place?
This little town was just behind the front line.
Talbot House.
Pretty. Pretty gate.
All over town, all we hear is about this house. Can you tell us something about it?
By all means. Oh yes. First rule of the house, 2 pessimists way out. Old rule, but still in use. Just follow me to the garden. The house itself is very often called the old house. It was built late 18th century and was a British soldier's house during the First War, because this little town was just behind the front line during the First War. This little town became strategically very important, so there was a need for a soldier's house.
The Talbot House started as a guest house during World War I. This English chaplain named Tubby decided to build a place for the soldiers to go to get a break from the war.
Well, Tubby wanted to create a home from home for the soldiers because they went through terrible things.
So this seems like a little haven, you know, from everything the soldiers went through. They came here to relax and rest.
Yes, I'm glad you call it a haven because the soldiers called it a haven. There's no trees anymore, no flowers anymore. Everything was destroyed. So when a soldier came to Talbot House, he saw a garden with a flower, with a tree. I'll never forget that veteran. A few years ago, he was sitting right there and became very emotional.
Do you still get a lot of veterans?
Well,
I mean, I would imagine most of them have probably passed on at this time.
Well, you still have a few coming. I had, on 29th of June, I had 12 in the house. The youngest was 96 and a half. The oldest was a bit above 102.
Jack calls the Talbot House a living museum, meaning that he's trying to keep it in its original condition, trying to still maintain the same customs that went on back in 1914. And now, here we are in the 90s, and he still wants to keep that feel of home and of a haven. One of the big things that makes it feel like a home is that everyone must cook their own meals. There's a kitchen that's in use for anyone. You can buy your own food, put it in the fridge, sleep there, cook your breakfast the next day.
What's interesting is Jack isn't British. He's from Poperinge, but he found such a connection with his house, and this goes back years. I think he was only 13 or 14 years old when he first visited the Talbot House.
Well, I was a boy when I came to Talbot House, so bit by bit I got involved in the house, and before I realized, you get hooked. This house absorbs you.
He had incredible stories about everything, everyone, every little object that was in the house, every little sign that he happened to glance upon. He just had a story for it.
Jack showed us this gong that a soldier had made out of old artillery shells. A soldier had cut the bottom off the shells and actually polished them and tuned them so that they could play a song.
I suggest we stop here for a while.
Dong, 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 which was like Big Ben, so that all the British soldiers would feel at home.
So he took several calibers of shells, so he made this gong. And you all know that tune. Sounds familiar, huh?
Yeah.
He never stops. You just have to sit and listen. And he's filled with so many stories about the house and the people that have come through it. The charming part is that when he describes the soldiers that have come and gone and the house itself, you really get a feeling of why he's there. He's not even British. He just grew up around the house. He grew up around the soldiers in there. And now he's married to that house. He's a part of it.
Jack, who can stay here?
Good question. Anybody.
Anyone?
Yes, all nationalities, but mainly we have British people, people from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, but everybody's welcome. It's not a hotel. We give people a key, they go out, come in whenever they like. In the morning they go to the baker, buy some rolls, have their breakfast, make their picnic, and they're away during the day.
What's next, up here?
Well, you'll find a completely different house. Yep.
All right.
And this is the chapel.
Yes, Tubby used to say, they built Talbot House upside down. You found the foundations in the loft. He meant his chapel, of course.
Why do you do this? Why be a part of Talbot House? You dedicate your entire life to Talbot House.
In a way, yes. The thing is, I love the place. A lot of people come here, a lot of nationalities coming to the house. And there's something we may not forget. During the First War, hundreds of thousands of British soldiers, Australians, Canadians, etc., got killed in this area. And they died for us, to free this country. We may never forget that. This house is the only British soldiers' house in the world of the First War that is still in use. You know, the thing is, follow the same rules, welcome people at the door. You know, they're a home from home for everybody. All nationalities, all rank, bonden, hier, enter here. All nationalities, all religions, all races, everybody's welcome.
So even though you're not British, you feel like you have an allegiance to the house?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a part of my life.
Every man, woman, and child wants to be in this parade.
I thought the parade was really unique in that it showed the good and the bad of the hops. If there could be a story told about a wheat or something that's being harvested, it was told.
Hops built this area. The Trappist monks devised some beer from the hops that they brought. And from that, the town sprang, and so much of the history belongs to the hops. And the birds, and the bugs, and the monks, all of that play a part in bringing the hops out to the rest of the world. That's what the parade's about. When I finally got to see Michelle in the parade, I think her days of being a dragonfly were almost over.
How are the wings holding up?
Hey, let's go get some bug spray.
I thought she was a great sport about it, and she was in the back, and she really, she doesn't speak the language, and she didn't know the dance steps, but I gotta tell you, what a sport she was for really getting out there and giving it a whirl for 5 miles.
Hey! My little dragonfly! Come here! Oh, poor thing.
What?
You okay?
I'm fine. Did you guys enjoy the parade?
We had a great time.
Yeah?
You look super
you
out
look
there.
great out there. Somewhere in the middle of that 2.5-hour journey, I started to feel not so dignified. Why? Well, because my shoes are 4 size bigger than what I normally wear. I've got 6th grade underwear lines. My wing kept falling off. I'm doing this really silly dance. Oh,
But your
we
makeup
thought you
looks
were
great.
We thought you were great. You look good out there, honestly. You really did.
Go get into your little cocoon, change back into the Michelle we know and love, and we'll go feed you.
Yeah. How's that? I'm sorry about the wing.
Fly, be free.
Oh.
Bye. A toast to beer and chocolate.
To family and a good harvest.
To diamonds and dragonflies.
Dragonflies?
I'm never going to be able to look at another beer again without thinking of dragonflies.
I'm never going to be able to look at another beer again without thinking of family.
I'll never be able to look at another beer.
Oh, before I forget, I couldn't afford the diamonds, but I got you something.
What'd you get me?
Look.
What is it?
Hops. It's a hop chest. Just to remind you of potpourri.
Oh, that's bad.
That's all the time we have for travelers.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Hop chest.
That was clever.
It's happening here.
Have another beer.